You are probably not expecting me to be talking about some real estate markets that have been picking up momentum and most people haven't even noticed. Hey there, and welcome back to Prairie Real Estate. My name is 𝗵𝗲𝗍𝗍, real estate agent in Regina, Saskatchewan. That's my trusted assistant, 𝗵𝗲𝗍. This is monthly Canadian real estate market update, where I get you up to speed going from Victoria all the way to Halifax. What's going on in all these different Canadian real estate markets? We're not just taking a national picture. We're going into each individual city. I'll link them all below. You see in the timeline, you can jump from city to city if you just want to skip to a specific one. Yes, Calgary, Saskatoon, really hot real estate markets. Toronto, Vancouver, very much not so, especially that downtown Toronto condo market. But there's a couple of markets in this update where we're going to go look at them and they've picked up a lot of momentum, and I'm going to explain why that is. But of course, we got to start this off with another terrible bad dad joke. It's a space one this week, and I love space jokes. What is an astronaut's favorite part of a computer? The space bar. If you have a terrible joke that I can use in a future episode, put it in the comments below. Let's get you updated on the Canadian real estate market. Typically in Victoria, you see a summer slowdown, but we didn't see that this past month where sales actually increased. So that was a little bit surprising. New listings, that gap versus the 5-year average continues to shrink, which is also a little bit surprising. And that is why active inventory, again, versus the 5-year average has continued to decline, and it's keeping months of inventory where it has been. I still think we're going to see months of inventory tip into that 6 range, which would mean it's officially a buyer's market in Victoria, but we're going to have to wait and see. There's also a lot of uncertainty in the BC market in general because of some flip-flop policy changes around rental properties in that province. In the Vancouver real estate market, it is officially a buyer's market with over 6 months of inventory for the first time since 2019. Now, when I was reading the press release from the Vancouver Real Estate Board, they said they were surprised that more buyers haven't come to the market now with 2 consecutive interest rate cuts. I'm not surprised at all. I think it's going to take more than that. The poll I have running right now, you guys are saying it's going to take more than 0.5% to get you off the fence. Real quick pause here. If you're thinking about buying a house in Regina, obviously I'd love to help you out. But if you're somewhere else in Canada, don't worry. I can get you set up with a perfect real estate agent that'll handpick for you. If you check out the description of this video, you're going to see a link to my calendar where you can book me in for an agent recommendation consultation. I'll give you a call, learn about what's important to you in a house, in a real estate agent, and I'll get you set up with that perfect agent in your market. And now let's get back to the video. Now, when I'm talking with agents in Vancouver, they're telling me that, yeah, the overall number of listings is up, but the overall number of quality listings is not. And that's been frustrating a lot of buyers, saying they just can't find what they're looking for. Those houses, though, that are attractive, you know, priced right, staged right, all that, those are the ones that are seeing a lot of buyer activity, and they're still seeing multiple offers, even with all the inventory, just because, again, there's not that quality number of inventory. And when you expect to see this wave of distressed sellers that people are talking about for quite a while now, again, we're not seeing that, at least from the agent's perspective. They're saying they're not seeing that from their sellers right now. And we're looking at the price trend. I think that's really interesting because it's basically a mirror image of what it was last year. In Calgary, after a little bit of a slower month previously, sales picked back up again. And versus the 5-year average, this is the biggest gap we've seen for new listings all year long at nearly 20% up. But with the 4,100 homes that were actively for sale this past month, that's actually the first time we've seen over 4,000 homes for sale in Calgary since early 2022. The months of inventory has started to trend up, although it's still a very busy seller's market. Talking with agents in Calgary, they're telling me above the $600,000 price point, that's where they've got a little more active inventory. Things are still really, really busy in the sub $600,000 price point. Across the board, sales to new listing ratio in Calgary dropped under 70%, so it takes it out of the extreme seller's market into just a very busy, strong seller's market. In the Edmonton real estate market, I didn't expect to see a jump month over month in home sales, but that's what we saw. Typically, sales are declining this type of year. It's townhouses that are absolutely on fire at Edmonton. They've seen the largest year-over-year increase in price and sales, both in the double digits. And the citywide average for days on market did also jump up, but it's still under 30 days. So a very active Edmonton market, kind of that spillover effect from what's been happening in Calgary seems to be in full effect now in Edmonton. Well, technically, home sales increased June to July when they typically decrease in Regina, although it was only a 1 sale increase. Generally, though, you see a 5 to 10% decrease month to month. When it comes to what's hot right now, well, the sub $300,000 price point, like that $250,000 to $300,000, really, really busy right now. I had a listing in there, just put up and just got it sold. We had over 40 showing requests on that one. but still even 300 all the way up into the 4s. Very active and busy right now. We did see a little bit of a rebound in price, not much of a more meaningful difference really more than anything, but we are kind of seeing the time of year where typically home prices will tail off through the back part of the year, although I'm not expecting to see any sort of significant declines, just your typical seasonal drop off. Honestly, at this point, I don't know what's going to slow down the Saskatoon real estate market because it is crazy busy. Everybody's talking about Calgary and nobody's really talking about Saskatoon. Of course, if you're watching this, you definitely are. Sales have been up every single month versus the 5-year average all year. New listings have been down every single month versus the 5-year average all year. Prices are up nearly 8% since the start of the year alone. There has been less than 2 months of inventory since March. And I think in my mind, Saskatoon has the hottest real estate market in Canada. Not many people are talking about it. This is all happening when we're hearing on the national news and other YouTube channels and online, everywhere else, how bad the real estate market, sales are down, everything else. Well, that's not the case in Saskatoon. It's a very active and busy market. It's been really interesting watching the Winnipeg real estate market because the numbers versus the 5-year average that I keep track of don't look so great. But that's really because the numbers were so busy, they were so active in Winnipeg in 21 and 2022 that it's really skewed that 5-year average. If you compare, for example, year over year, and I don't like doing it, but it's interesting to look at it, every month this year, there's been more sales versus last year in Winnipeg. So busier year this year so far than last year, and last year was by no means a slow year. We are seeing months inventory creep up just a little bit. We're almost on the edge of a balanced market, although we're still more of a seller's market in Winnipeg, especially the more affordable price points. Interestingly, they're seeing a lot of multiple offers in Winnipeg, again, in that affordable price point. So if you're shopping, in that kind of low 300s to low 400s price point, anticipate you're probably going to see a lot of competition from other buyers. Home buyers in the Toronto real estate market haven't had this much choice, and honestly, I don't even know how long, decades, because this is the most houses I've seen that I can find anywhere on record. Now, the Toronto Real Estate Board is bragging how sales jumped up versus last year. Again, yeah, sure, versus the worst year they've had in decades. They don't put a lot of stock into that. In fact, the gap versus the 5-year average continues to widen. So not really something to brag about there. When it comes to new listings, though, that seems to have kind of settled into a groove. It's been up about 15% over that 5-year average for 4 months in a row. So not this big wave of new listings coming to the market, but the active inventory, that of course is up substantially, 72%. That number is astounding. Again, not due to a wave of new listings. It's more to do with the fact that there's a huge reduction in the number of buyers right now. And even I get really creative and say, okay, out of that 5-year average, let's take out 2021 because inventory was ridiculously low back then. The next best year in terms of active inventory, next worst, I guess if you want to call it, was 2018 when they had about 18,000 active listings. And we've got, hold up, let me check this again, almost 24,000 active listings right now. So continues to be way more inventory than we've had in a long time. When it comes to home prices, that is down about 5% year over year. I still think we're going to see Toronto end the year down somewhere around 5 to 8%, could hit 10% down year over year. But I don't see a likely scenario where home prices end the year higher than where they ended the year last year. The Ottawa real estate market kind of goes under the radar in Ontario, especially compared to the Toronto real estate market, which dominates all the headlines, and that is kind of in a free fall, especially the condo market there. But I think a lot of people, myself included, were not really expecting the Ottawa real estate market to be as strong as it seems to be right now, and it seems to be picking up a little bit of momentum. Now, sales were notably up 14% year over year, again, still down versus the 5-year average, but that's a little bit interesting. What I also noticed is that new listings continue to decline versus the 5-year average. So that's actually going the opposite direction of what we're seeing in places like Toronto. Right now, new listings are down 6% versus the 5-year average. And that, of course, has been driving down active inventory. Earlier this year, in March, we saw active listings up 60% versus the 5-year average. They're still up, but only up 24% now. The other big surprise for the month was that home prices increased $1,000. Again, not very much, but generally this time of year, you see home prices dropping in Ottawa. So to see them jump up $1,000, a little bit out of the blue. The Montreal real estate market is definitely not what we're seeing in Toronto and Vancouver. They're seeing prices continue to increase, while those markets are seeing prices increase, and actually a fairly busy market. Yes, sales are down below the 5-year average, But really, that is skewed by an exceptionally busy 2020. They had over 5,400 homes sell in just a single month that year. The next best in the last decade was 2019 with 3,700 sales. And the third best would be this past month. So it's actually a pretty busy market in Montreal right now, just masked in my 5-year rolling average by how busy those 2020 numbers are. When I'm talking with agents, they've been telling me for a while that their phones have been ringing more, and it feels like the market is picking back up. We're seeing a little bit of the numbers, but a lot of them are expecting a really busy fall market based on the number of phone calls they're getting. And of course, it shouldn't be surprising. The more active and busy parts of the market are, of course, the more affordable segments, and as well, those properties that have rental potential with them. So whether they have a basement suite or you could put a basement suite, those have been really, really active right now. They are not saying that rate cuts have been a factor in really any buyer's decision-making process, but at least buyers are talking about it now. For the first couple of weeks of the month, the Halifax real estate market was your very typical slow summer market. And then in the back half of the month, the agents were saying they saw a lot more sales, a lot more uptick in activity, phone was ringing more, etc. And they're expecting that to continue into the fall market. So they're anticipating having a busier fall market. Now, as you know, if you live in Halifax, there's been a lot of infrastructure projects completed over the last little bit, and that spurred on development around those infrastructure projects. Then when I was asking agents, okay, who's buying the houses right in Halifax? They said they're seeing more and more new Canadian buyers that are purchasing homes. The Ontario investor buyers, those have pretty much left the market. And then if you look, of course, average price trending back up, but still the bulk of sales or the most activity is in that sub $600,000 price point. That's part of what drove down the average price for a number of months in a row. But the most active still continues to be that sub, $450,000. That's where they're very, very busy right now. Do you know what you should do next? Leave me a comment in the comment section below. Tell me which city's numbers surprised you the most. And of course, give this video a like if you haven't done that already, or maybe check out this video right here. As always, guys, thanks very much for watching.